This channeling represents beings from astral planes and beings who are incarnated on this planet, the highest self of the channeler, Sananda Kumara, and many other beings and entities that are at service of the evolution of humanity. The way of speaking and the tone of voice might be disturbing for those who are not used to it. Perceive the energy and frequency behind each entity that presents itself to assist you and your ascension, as well as the evolution of this planet. So be it and so it is. We wish you an excellent experience.
As you sit there, as you stand, wherever you are in space and time, what it means to self-correct, what the idea of guidance entails in your reality. When you're driving your car and you enter in the wrong street, do you punch your car as if he is the one responsible? Do you regret your decision by attacking your vessel? When you fight your car, is your car the one who made the choice to make the wrong turn? When your car stops in the street, as in the movies and stories, because it is broken, you go out of the car and start kicking the car and complaining about how bad it is, the car. This is your fault, you broken piece of shit, say the irritated driver, full of misery. Is this a mistake? Is this self-correction? From our perspective, nothing is what it seems to be. There is not even a car to begin with as you perceive it. But if we talk with you from that level of awareness, it will be very tricky for you to understand. Some of you already have that capacity. So it's easier to communicate in this level of ideas and examples in your language, in your reality. In this analogy that is imperfect but good enough, isn't it the driver, the owner of the car? Let's pretend that it owns the car from the beginning, since it got out from the factory. Isn't that person the one responsible for maintenance? Isn't it that person the one who should be taking care of the car, driving it in a way that keeps it in a fully functional way? To check the tearing and the normal decomposition of materials, so it keeps itself in perfect working order. It's very easy for a human being to sit in front of the car and complain and curse it, and forget the marvel that stands in front of him, of a very developed and polished technology, more than decades and decades and decades and decades of refinement. Hundreds of years of iterations of technologies developing itself as a car in front of it. And then it complains because one moving part or two of those hundreds of moving parts that working perfectly stop functioning as it's supposed to be. And with anger and regret, it hurts the car even more. Now, if the car would be your body that has a mind of its own, and accumulate all of that form of abuse against itself, what is the result? What happened to a horse that is ill-treated from an abusive rider for years? What kind of horse it becomes? When we are interacting with something that is alive, there is more layers of complexity. That's why the example was imperfect but good enough. It becomes very obvious when the driver turns in the wrong way that is not the fault of the car. But usually the drivers punch the car when it's irate, full of anger. It's not the fault of the car that cannot go itself to the concessionary, to the fixing place, to the mechanic, the car retailer. It's not the fault of the car, but the owner, the driver. But still, the person will tend to curse outside, will put outside the source of its own ill conduct. That's what we call projection. This is all very simplistic, as there is deeper and deeper layers to those interactions, as magnetisms, co-creation. And when you add those layers of living things with magnetic fields creating reality, it gets tricky in all directions. And that's why the human mind needs those simplistic examples to start to understand. Because in that example, the driver is the conscious being imprinting in the car its fears and magnetisms. That's why the same car used in very similar ways for the same amount of mileage and time for 5 years by two very different people will be very different cars, even if they take to the same mechanic. Because there is an imprinting of energy and frequency in the car that changes its qualities. It's very easy to perceive for the ones who are sensible to it. Maybe you are one of those that know this to be true. So when we understand this, it's even less of a fault of the marvel of the car and its technologies in front of you, and even more of the driver. But still, many of you turn your energies and mind against something outside as the one who is guilty and responsible for your difficulties. It's easier to blame the car. But now things get very interesting when we add the layers of imprinting and magnetisms, and we will remain simplistic to begin with, that now you have a car that you bought from someone who was very, very, very negative and fearful. It's a used car. And now you are using this car all around in the streets, and you don't know why, but when you drive this car, you feel insecure and fearful. Especially for those who are totally disconnected to those things, they don't even feel their own emotions, but things get wrong when they use that car. Because that car were impregnated all of its atoms with a frequency, an energy from the owner of fear. So that car tends to have more problems than other cars. If you buy a car from a very self-confident human being that is always loving its car as if it's a precious gem, when you enter that car, you sit and say, wow, this feels good. I love to be in this car. This car feels amazing. This car is a joy. The ignorant human being would say, oh, so there is the blame of the car then, you see? Why, oh why, you bought that car to begin with? Why, oh why, that is the car that arrived in your hands. Because there is a causality of resonance and frequency. Now take the origin, the beginning of this conversation, that is self-guidance and conducting. When you arrive into a car that is in that state and you are aware enough, what is self-correction? What is self-correction? Self-correction, in these very simplistic examples of non-living things, pay attention please, simplistic examples, will be different in each circumstance. A human being that is learning about those things may curse the driver of the car before, the owner of the car before. That's not self-correction, and it doesn't work. In the first example, to turn in the wrong street, Self-correction would be perfect honesty. I committed a mistake. Maybe I was thinking something else. Maybe I was perfectly present in the moment, but I'm feeling insecure because I don't know this place where I am. Self-correction will be different in each case. Self-correction would be, well, that is the consequence of not paying fully attention. Full attention, distractions make us commit mistakes in the realm of creation. When we sleep, we are unconscious, we commit mistakes. And that is a perfect example when you are not paying attention in your life and you do bad decisions. So the best thing is honesty and say, well, I did this. I was not paying attention in my reality. I was not paying attention where I am with my car and I turned the wrong street. To punch the car is absolutely not an act of wisdom when you know that you are imprinting your car with that energy. So you see the car is kind if you're kind. When we're talking about your body, if you get full of anger with yourself and full of self-rejection, I hate you, why you commit those mistakes, why you are not paying attention, then you are adding injury to the pain. You're making things even worse. You're creating a gash, the wound is enlarging itself. So a simple mistake becomes a real problem. So when you are guiding yourself because you were unaware you committed a mistake, the best thing you can do is to be perfectly honest. And give you the best wisdom to the moment. And go on with your day. And accept. Do a mourning like when someone dies. You dress as black and you cry. Do that with your mistakes. Don't be dramatic about it, just accept that now I have to go around the block again, maybe 2, maybe 3 blocks, maybe I'll have 5 minutes of my day dedicated to go around this path again. But you can take this as an opportunity to celebrate life and the importance of being fully awakened and paying attention. So you can use this not an opportunity to self-berate and talk badly about life and your choices and your misfortune, but how amazing it is to be present and alive in your body. That's a very good self-correction for a very simple example. So you see, there is complexity in the simplest of situations. So going around the block when you're not driving a car but your body is that maybe some opportunity or situation were wasted. Maybe today I could have a better day and I will not have the best day I could have because I made some wrong choices in the way because I was not paying attention. So instead of berating yourself and hating yourself and all over the day complaining about your choices, this will never work for any human being that wants to have the capacity of self-correction. So self-correction is to immediately be honest about your bad choices, admitting to yourself the truth, and then immediately go into a space of companionship and self-support, remembering what is the best way to act. So the next time you have all of this aliveness inside of you, they say, hey, there is a better way to act on life that will make things easier for us. There is a complicity in your car because this car is intelligent. Now imagine the same very simple example, still in the very simple example that you were paying attention all the time, very aware, but anyway, you entered the wrong street, the wrong corner, because you don't know the full extent of your reality. That creates very fearful imprints in human beings for not knowing. Not knowing have an intrinsic process of trying to discover the new territory as it goes along. And many times when we go just with our mind and not our intuition, we will commit mistakes. Intuition here represents an intelligence that belongs to the frequency of reality you are creating. The timeline you chose will inform you through your body, through your extrasensorial sensations, the right turn. And this stands true for intuitive car drivers. Intuitive car drivers have this capacity to just know the right streets to go because they have this deep intrinsic belief that they never get lost. So they never get lost as the reality they are creating. But that is another conversation. Because let's see how we deal with self-correction when we are fully aware, we are giving our best, and we still commit a mistake. How you deal with yourself when you do that. Usually many of you have those imprints of childhood that everything is your fault. And you blame yourself and you're harsh with yourselves even when you act perfectly. And that creates that tension inside of you that makes you believe that there is no safe way to be in life. It doesn't matter what I do, it won't be good, and you become a very fearful person of trying new things. Because you're very addicted to punishing yourself wherever mistakes happen, without understanding that mistakes is part of self-expansion. The only one that doesn't commit mistakes is the one that gets stuck in what it already knows. The only one who doesn't commit mistakes is the one who gets stuck in what it already knows. Do I have to repeat this again? The only one that does not commit mistakes is the one who gets stuck in what already knows. It means that the fear of committing those mistakes, even though you are doing your best, that you cannot really avoid it, is so strong that the person chooses to remain in a very controlled life, in a controlled environment. Usually people have obsessions with order and organization and things work in a specific way because they feel a false sense of safety and the control of their environment. That comes from a deep survival imprint in their reptilic brain. That you need to know where is the water, where is the food, otherwise you will die. That intrinsical, deep, misaligned choice comes from a survival technique that poorly serves the one who wants to expand as a soul in a manifested body. So self-correction here is even more important to come with a lot of self-support. I am proud of you that you're trying to go to a new neighborhood. I'm so happy that you are courageous and brave to come and drive in these unknown streets. How daring are you that you're never afraid of discovering and figuring out new things. I'm proud of you and I fully support you. How many of you do this when you commit a mistake like this? Or you still punch the wheel and say, damn it. Oh, I'm stupid. How many of you can see this small movie in your brain that we are projecting in your field of reality? Small punch, pum, stupid, oh, I'm an idiot. Push the hand on the forehead. How many of you do this? How many of you act like this? You immediately berate yourself. You see, this does not add any beauty to your reality. does not create a more wise and prepared human being. Strong negative emotions serve survival. You need strong negative emotions to know where the danger is and then information. So strong negative emotions and information create some form of long-term memory, but it's always negative in nature and attached to survival. A higher form of long-term memory is a good sensation of pleasure and self-support with a new information entering your system. But you need a strong positive emotion. If you have no emotions, you will create no imprints of memory that will remain in your system. So if you want to have a long-term memory, you will need a strong emotional response with some form of information. So it's much easier for you to be in a strong negative emotion and create a negative imprint in your reality that will focalize you on always surviving instead of celebrating life. But if you learn the simplest of techniques of suppressing this automatic response of fight and flight, of hating yourself, and give yourself a very positive feedback that makes you feel inspired and happy with yourself, courageous and brave, and then you give information, it's always good to be prepared when we go to the unknown. We deserve to always have the best sort of information when we dive deep in the unknown of the streets of this reality. It's easy when we see a car. It's a little bit more tricky when you are with your body in situations of day-to-day distracted completely. But you can be fully aware and fully present, and still those mistakes will happen, and you will have the tendency of reacting in those negative ways. So please understand that those negative ways are not per se wrong, but they get you stuck in a frequency of fear and survival. Your car will get imprinted with fear and survival, and negative things will tend to happen more frequently to the car. But when you don't have a car but a human body, this will multiply, because the car in this case is a body, and the body is smart and intelligent and holds information in its 80% of water. So in those very simplistic examples, there is so much complexity and have contrast to make it easy for you to see how badly maybe you self-correct in your life. And if you're addicted to suffering and self-gloating, you will say from this sentence we just said, I am a terrible self-guide. Already judging and complaining about how you guide yourself. And this is how deeply ingrained this kind of attitude may be in your species, in your body, in your reality. And then we enter a more complex aspect of this conversation about example of the horse, the rider. Because you see, you are as a horse can be a human. But you have some similarities with the horse. We are both mammals, and we have similar brain structures. So, you also can condition an animal, and that animal gets stuck in a behavior out of conditioning. And human beings, as is a well-known in your reality as a scientific fact, operate until it's 7 years old with a brain wave state of theta waves that is a semi-hypnotic trance, where the children is not truly thinking reality but imitating reality and observing reality. This is changing a little bit in your reality as you force kids to educate themselves before they are actually ready. But it doesn't change the fact that they are still imitating and receiving information without a proper filter of quality. It means that during your childhood, you were like that car being beaten up by the driver that is fearful. You're like the horse that was ridden by a bad rider, and now you have that horse and it's full of bad behaviors or negative energies. So this beaten up horse, this beaten up car is what you inherited from your family, from your school, from your society. And the negative people among you will complain, yes, my bad, terrible parents, they were so ugly, or this terrible society. And this again is like the driver in front of the car that is a marvel of creation and complaining about the negative aspects of it. You are a very advanced toy of creation. You have trillions of cells that have trillions of atoms in them. One atom in your body could light it up civilization. And you have trillions and trillions and trillions of them. You are a marvel of creation. Don't complain about your family inheritance, your fathers, your society, because they're also a very complex structure reintegrating itself, doing the best it can to be a positive creation. Even the ones that you call very negative people have this obsession with Nazism and Hitler. And his weird, distorted beliefs, he believed himself doing something good for humanity and his country. And he believed him so self-righteous, and he did all the things he did because he was deeply in this illusion that doing something good through violence. So all of these things that you call your reality were creations of people believing themselves to do something good. But the problem with this example we just used, and only his name brought energy to the field that is negative in nature if you have the quality to perceive it. All of you reacting to this name, how strong it is a word, and we did it on purpose. Because you can see if one word saying like that can awaken so much inside of you. Imagine you listen to those words for 7 years. You're a crying baby, you're a stupid girl, you know nothing, you're an idiot, you'll never be anyone in life. Or you always don't understand, you never understand what I say, 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 you never understand. You never understand. You never respect. You never respect. Now we have in 7 years of, if one word repeated one time have an impact, imagine repeated hundreds and hundreds of times to a child that has no future of capacity of say, Mama is full of anger. She don't know what she's saying. This word does not apply to me. This is a mistake. I reject this word. My system will reject that sentence. I will not allow this word to be imprinted in my system, in my water as a reality creation process. Not even you as adults usually have the capacity of doing what exactly we did to you as an example. How many of you do that when someone says something bad to you? How many of you immediately rebuke with kindness and joy and non-violence inside of you a ill-perceived statement of someone around you in your life, in your family, in your work? How many of you immediately recognize a projection and suspend the projection in a most kind way to protect your body, your system, your water, your mind? Imagine a child then doing that with 3, 4, 5 years old. There's very few children in this planet that actually can do that and do that because they are not normal human beings. But most of you won't. So take this in consideration when you understand that you are driving a car that has been beaten up. Beaten up. But things don't stop there, because this car has a superpower that many of you humans still ignore. There's the capacity to create realities and to magnetize. If the car, pay attention, if the car that was driven by a very negative person for many years, and you buy that car and you drive that car and you feel fearful because it is impregnated with that energy, and that material that the car is composed of is not made to receive this kind of information and retain it with congruency. Imagine a body that was all of it engineered with the sole purpose of retaining information and not lose coherency. If your AIs had a body of water to retain coherency through information imprint, then it would work much better. I hope no AI engineers ever listen to this channeling. As a joke aside, what we are telling you right now is for you to understand the coherency of your liquid crystal called water. So your body is all made it up to hold on information. So imagine now if the car that is not made with that purpose can do that, can influence you. Imagine that huge construct of trillions of atoms holding information with a specific purpose of that. That information have then capacity to generate magnetic fields. Magnetic fields that can interact and intercede in reality around you. So it's much easier to the ignorant among you to curse the car, to curse the body, to curse the horse, and blame it on it, instead of seeing the marvelous thing you are. You are this amazing creation and complexity that can do wonders, and were ill-prepared and ill-conditioned, not because they were evil as you try to make them evil, even the worst names we could conjure to you here in this conversation. They did it out of complete and absolute ignorance, the same as you. You are as ignorant as them. They dare to try and do things that doesn't work. And maybe you are so fearful that you don't even dare. So don't judge them. Don't resent them. They had terrible karmic imprints because they dared to try something and it didn't work. They used the wrong approach of force and violence from a state of ignorance. So if there's one thing we could change in this reality is the state of ignorance that we all are when we are here without knowing what it works. That's why we're giving you this gift of this channeling, operating in a very low and simple complexity examples. So you can start to grasp the wonder you are and the potential that is being wasted by simple acts you do every day without noticing. The problem with those names is if they had the information to know what it works, they would have changed your reality for a very positive direction. And they would be reminded as heroes of humanity, but they were ignorant. Ignorant. Following misleading informations, energies in your system, imprints on them. Maybe they were beaten up so much that they believed that that was the way to change reality. Let's beaten up people. Let's kill them. Let's beat it up countries. Let's do those things because it worked for me. Did it? No, of course not. Of course not. Just created more of the same. So, let's bring that powerful information. That when you are beating up the wheel of your car, as the simplest example we gave to you, when you commit a mistake, and maybe you even beat up your forehead, your hands, your body are registering that information and storing it. So right now your body is that gigantic repository of those things. It's full of old memories, old behavior. And that information is very important for this water to hold the coherency of your state of mind. What you may call in your philosophical spiritual reality as grounding. The grounding is the liquid crystal holding information for a more versatile matrix of intelligence to flow in all directions, because it has this attached tail that keeps things stable and know who they are when they go too far off. So what you call reality, what you may perceive it as a very low and slow thought of the creative mind of light, it is this combination of a crystal liquid water system holding information and coherency Attach it to a very crazy, imaginative mind that can go in all directions. So it is the snail and the hound. The snail and the hound. So you want to run, but you can't run because the water in your system that holds your coherency is holding you back for a reason. To keep you stable, stabilized in the matrix of reality. And so you say, no, I want to be free, I want to be free. I want to let go of all this shit called body and go home. And then you arrive there in the other realm and say, oh fuck, to be there I needed that piece of information holding me in instability. And we are using very human current language, cursing and things like this because we make it very easy for you to understand. Sorry for that if it hurts your ears. So please understand that when you go out of this realm and you misunderstand things, you start really comprehend that the logic of this reality is to have this very versatile fluidic mind that you have in other realms that are not dense in reality. But to be here in that constant creation that is unfolding in a continuous process of co-creation that is very sacred. You need a liquid body, a dense body that can hold your coherency for such wild and creative light mind. And we are describing those things, and please understand, don't try to correlate them and say, oh, this is reality, this is how the matrix works, because we're not giving you the truth. We're giving you a perspective of the truth that is easier for you to understand why you are built in such a way. So don't try and make this the ultimate information about reality. Because you try to mix it up your belief that this is real, trying to understand all the realms and such and such and such. Your mind cannot conceive what is beyond in a way that really sees the truth of it. So this is just ways for you to correlate information and understand. So you need this body that accumulates information. The idea is not to get rid of it, darling. The idea is not to say, sorry again, fuck you body, I don't care about you, just a burden to me. Die. This is a terrible thing. Terrible. It's a complete misunderstanding of the purpose of existence and creation. You need this sacred perfect body of yours. Not only that, but it retains the secret of your ascension. Because when we playful say that this is like a tail that follows you to keep you coherent, a more truthful way, more close to reality as it is, it is an integration of two energies of a singular being, one that is per se dominating this realm and the other one that can fluctuate to other realms, integrating in a singular energy of perfect coherency. So you need to tune in that circling energy in this body to a higher form of intelligence. They must to couple as one. And this kind of denser energy will refract denser energy from past lives. And we have imprints that comes with it when you are born, imprints that you receive in the womb when we are being nourished to your mother, already receiving information that you will need. So for 9 months, why you think you stay with your mother for 9 months connected to umbilical cord? You are constantly receiving information. The egg is already perfectly functional. Why to create another form of creation? One sits on top of the eggs, the other go and take food. It works perfectly for birds. Why to create it? Why to develop a more complicated system if there is one already works perfectly? because you're exchanging deep levels of information for a very complex organism. So you're receiving a lot of information, emotional information, mind information. You're all being imprinted of those things, and goes generation from generation from generation. So go back to the situation when the car breaks off and you kick the car and you curse the car. All of this amazing complexity is there. Beautiful complexity of the human body. And that things you curse society, you complain about society, this is very, very wise people for many generations trying their best not to be ignorant, but acting with ignorance, trying to understand. So when you commit mistakes, when things go wrong, all of it is about self-correction. Remember, this is about self-correction. So all of this is to prepare you to understand what you're dealing with, to begin, to correct. How can you correct what you have no idea what you're dealing with? What is the chances of you act out of ignorance again? So that it is this amazing accumulation of information in a liquid crystal that is all messed up by layers and layers and layers of misinformation that were actually very useful to create survival for that beautiful car, that beautiful body. Is in front of you, isn't it? It survived. It survived the previous owner. This body survived all of those imprinting. The wrong way to go about it and say, fuck this body, I want to be reborn, give me a new one. That will never work. You see, because you will be born again in a society that people need to change the direction of these conditionings in the water. Your parents were during 7 years conditioned like you, so what they did to you, probably they received during those 7 years of conditioning. And maybe they put a huge effort in their lives, trying to be different from their parents and make something more beautiful from their perspective. And here they are, they condition you too in the ways that they don't feel proud about it and you dislike it. Like this endless curse of kids complaining about their parents, parents complaining about themselves and their kids. This is not useful. What you need to understand is the process. This is how it happens. And I have all of this water that was conditioned in ways that does not operate miracles for you in your reality. So your first action as you enter this car, as you enter this body as a consciousness, is to start to self-correct in ways that work. You need to learn two very important processes simultaneously. First, to repel and undamage your systems. Repel, I mean by moving away negative imprints of beliefs and reality creation. So you need to purify your system from all of those information blockages that creates your stability process called liquid crystal, water, belief systems, imprints, cellular memory, whatever you want to call it. I will call it this stability operational system. So the stability operational system that sustains a more fluidic mental system needs both to be integrated in a perfect way. To do that, you have this need to repel negative imprints, purify it, and guide it back to health. So the second aspect you need is actual guidance that works. When you operate in those two levels, you clean and purify conditionings, learning how to do that with tools of healing. And you also act with perfect guidance skill that many of you lack. Many of you lack. This perfect realm and perfect reality of the new earth will be created by perfect masters of self-conducting. You have Sananda Kumara here teaching you because many of you don't know how to do that, and we are here supporting him and his choice because we believe he's doing the best to this reality. And his shape and form create amazingness by doing what he does in the way he does, and we operate miracles with him as we believe that he is the one who can bring that reality flow and change to all of you. So when we bring this information through him, he's also receiving extra support from us. And you are receiving support from him, through him, by us in the same level and way. So through us and many other beings of light from different dimensions in reality already learn to operate those miracles in their operative systems, in a way of saying, are here to help you and teach you how to do those things in your own way. So to know what it works, all of this very simplistic, easy to read and understand chapter of this channeling that's giving you very simple examples what it is to guide and self-correct a human being by those pragmatical examples of a car or a horse. Now you are in front of it. Knowing all of this, you are in front of this vessel, so complex, an amazing computing machine with different layers. Coming from another realm, your consciousness arrives here as a driver, arrives in front of the car, and this amazing construct needs to be correct. To punch it, to hate it, to complain about it will never work, and that's what you do. So be it, and so it is. Chapter of complexity of humanity. Humanity was made by unifying many complexities of creations that were already complex on themselves, by creating a perfect being of perfect reality, of perfect unison. And you have that key of perfection in you that has not been used, as you don't understand the perfection you are and how well made you were by other beings creating perfection for a perfect reality in a perfect realm. When you misunderstand the complexity of humanity and you judge humanity by the results of ill conducting, you do not see the potential of a Ferrari be driven by a farmer that never learned to drive, and you say that Ferrari is a shit piece of car. And it's not. Sorry for the language, the car is amazing, is perfect, is a refinement of years and years and years of engineering to create the most perfect machine for human beings who likes to waste their time running away in a car to do so in elegance. But there it is, and waste is a joke, because there is no waste when you do something with love. This is serendipity and joy. So in a sense, you cannot judge the vessel by the skill of its guider, this conductor that you are. So please, there is an elegance in this vessel of yours that is beyond the capacity of you comprehend how powerful it is, as probably a good Ferrari driver knows how to conduct a Ferrari but escapes him the complexity of building one. Escapes the complexity of building one. Maybe even in the factory of the best Ferrari in the world, maybe there is a few people that really understand the complexity of that car that they are driving, because you compartmentalize the building of a car. So who really understand the complexity of the totality of the car? Very few of you. Very few of you really understand the depths of complexity that goes in the engineering of a vessel like this. Otherwise, everybody could build a Ferrari in the world. There will be many, many, many builders of cars like this. And there is not. There is few of them. And they're very expensive and hard to do. So as you comprehend this, you understand in this simple analogy the complexity of your body. It will always escape your capacity to truly understand how amazing it is and how deep it is, the engineering of unconceivable amounts of creations to arrive to this level of refinement. And the refinement would even come from this being in its full potential. As more will be created out of it, that will be even more complex than you can grasp and understand. So don't try to waste your humanity by throwing it away. Try to dress it up in the ultimate potential of it. by the love of driving a Ferrari, by the love and pleasure of driving a human form. So when you are in front of a human form and you need to self-correct this complexity, it's very important for you to understand the laws of operation of this system. How you guide and create imprints of memory in a body. How you use different approaches to achieve the same result, and how they will vary in quality depending on the situation, and how much this variation will come out of the skill of the guider or the skill of the technique, the capacity of the technique, because every technique has a perfect environment to be applied. And this is so complex and alive that many of you would just say, no, I will not do it. And it is a misunderstanding of the purpose of your soul that comes here to be the best driver of this form. We say, no, I will just sit all day and read books or do whatever. Well, that is part of the experimentation of the potential of this body. Definitely it is. I will just enjoy it. It's a cool thing to do, and I think you should do it. But remember that if you just do that, and you refrain yourself to do anything else that you're passionate about, and really understand how to extract the most beautiful experiences of your life, not being an experience seeker, please understand that I'm not saying for you to go to roller coasters, paragliding, and go and do crazy things and surf the biggest wave of the planet. No, this is not about this experience seeking. We're talking about to be fully aware on the simplicity of your daily experiences. To extract the best of a simple life, it is a miracle in itself. And there is no simple life as the one who is always taking the glides, always surfing